I suppose the outcome of this project being successful would be that L&D departments, sooner rather than later, start to understand where they need to move to. The project's going on for about another year and a half, I believe, but I think the project are now very aware that some forces will be starting to introduce the police education qualification framework, and that means some of that degree level learning and working with a higher education institute. And some of that is going to happen this September, for others January 19, but it's all going to happen quite quickly. So I think the project are keen that as they produce products that we can use, that they'll get those out to people.
So the purpose of the project ultimately is to deliver a set of products to policing which can be adapted and used locally. And I think it'd be helpful for us to explain what these look like at this stage. I think the key product will be the blueprint model for a learning and development function. I think it's really crucial that we don't just see this as what a learning and development department looks like, but actually what the system looks like within an organisation, and what the sort of structures and processes look like at an organisational level. We're also keen to look at what that blueprint might be at a sort of pan-UK level across policing, so that there is a coherent approach to learning and development. That's another ambition.
The effectiveness of this project will be evaluated against two primary criteria, really. So one is academic. Does it produce good quality research evidence that can be used by L&D departments? And secondly, do police forces and L&D departments, do they feel it's made a difference to their practice? Has it made L&D easier to operate, or based on better evidence base, or bringing in new innovations, or sharing learning across the different police forces?
A positive outcome in terms of this project for me would look like we would certainly have models for learning within police that would be both affordable, practical, that would take account of some of the external factors that people have to be aware of. I would want, most importantly, police officers to be challenging in terms of the way they and very critical about the way they think about things, so to be independent thinkers. And I'd also, for me, like the profession to be seen for what it is. So at the moment I think we're open to a lot of scrutiny, because you tend to get police training the police, and that can feel a bit like, well, is that the right thing to do? I think we should be much bolder as a profession. I think there are some absolutely fantastic people I've worked with in my 14 years, and I'd almost want other people to see that as well. So in terms of a model, that's what I'd like to see.
The results from this project being actioned on the ground is very much around making it realistic, practical and pragmatic for those officers at which it's aimed at, because I think there is a danger of the perception being that this research exists in a dreamy cloud somewhere over there, and the reality of people's day-to-day experiences down here. I said, the reality is that we need to bring the two together, and for the people on the ground doing that very difficult job, appreciate the importance of what has been established here through the research and distilled down. I think that's going to be the real trick in making this a success, bridging the two.
As Programme Director, I'm responsible for managing the risks to this project, and as I said, one thing is that forces don't engage with us, and we're left, in a silo and operating without, real contact with the police service. And I think we've already put in steps to avoid that. Other risks are that, we have tried to take on too much. you know, we have got a limited budget and we've got quite a big challenge ahead of us. Again, I'm reassured by the people we've brought in to work on that project and previous work we've done that we can actually bring something in which is useful and valuable to lads. The other risk, of course, is that, you know, police forces move off in different directions and we don't really capture the learning as they do that and identify, you know, how can we really maximise the benefits of these changes that are facing policing.
We'll know that the project is successful if we can, one, learn from chief constables that they're enthusiastic about and supportive of changing the way in which learning and development is oriented in their force. If they're brought into the heart of decision-making and they're supported as, again, proactive, prospective units, thinking about where and how to create the best workforce possible for policing in this country. We'll know from learning and development staff themselves that they're feeling supported and being inspired about how to do more and differently and better. And we'll also learn from recruits themselves as to how they're experiencing this new regime, because we need to ask everybody at all different levels in order to deliver something better for the public, really. You can also ask the public, and they continue to ask the public in the British Crime Survey for England and Wales. So we'll know, even through public experience, whether the new recruits and the new way of working makes a difference in terms of policing UK.
The benefits to L&D across the police service, I think it will provide us with a broader understanding of what we mean by learning and development as opposed to training. Because for me, this work gives us the opportunity to get into people's consciousness the fact that learning and development happens not just in the classroom but happens in the workplace. It happens for an individual reflecting on how something's gone in terms of an event they've dealt with. I think we need to move into a much more holistic understanding of how we develop, because only then will people take responsibility and empower themselves by directing their own learning whilst being supported by the formal structures that are in place, hopefully as a result of this work, particularly in learning and development departments, but also in the way that we lead and manage people. It's all part of the same continuum and we need to see it in a much more holistic way. So the opportunities are almost endless with that.
The benefits that this project will have to L&D staff, if we get it right, what this project should deliver is really innovative models of learning in which police learning development can go forward with. I think this is a really significant time for police learning and development, and for me what I would like to see is a very sustainable model where if we were to look forward 10, 15, 20 years from now, you would actually see this project sort of setting the tone, setting the strategy, setting the direction for some of those models that are in place.
If you get this one right, I suggest we'll end up saving money in the end, because what you want to do is set the treadmill running, the traction, really, get really good traction in thinking differently about learning and development. If you could do that now, that will really aid change later.